Hey guys, this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches. Thank you for joining me today. Before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this video, let's go ahead and get the quick fist watch check out of the way. You know what to do. You just sit there. I do all the work. My latest book is available globally in hardcover or electronic. Please buy it for the dog lover in your life. It solves a lot of problems. Also throw a like on this video and please subscribe to the channel so we can do this again together soon. Today, fellas, I am wearing the beautiful turquoise OP41 that has been driving the market crazy, but frankly, I bought it to keep it, and so I have. Over and over and over again, I get the same question at this email address. So I'm gonna knock out 50 of them right here, right now. Is Rolex a safe buy? And here's the short answer, and then I'm going to waffle on for 5 or 10 minutes. The short answer is yes, it's a safe buy. Now, of course, there's a few if, ands, or buts. But first, I'm going to tell you why I believe it's a safe buy, and then we'll talk about those few little provisions that you should keep in mind so that you don't lose your butt. Because there are mistakes that you can make. I mean, there are people who could lose money on, and have, on Tesla, on Bitcoin, on all sorts of investments. The first thing that you should know is that Rolex is no ordinary company, but let me do a quick review for those of you who may have missed it. Rolex is not a for-profit corporation, which is unusual. Most companies are. Okay, now not all companies are publicly held, some are privately held. So for example, Patek Philippe is family owned. Breitling was family owned for a long time, but then they sold recently to an investment group, but it's still a privately held company, which is to say you can't go buy shares in that corporation. However, brands like Omega and Cartier, these are owned by groups called Richemont and Swatch. These are publicly held companies, and you actually can buy shares in these corporations. The long and the short of it is, whether publicly held or privately held, a company, especially a manufacturing company of luxury goods, has got the prime directive. And the one thing that they are supposed to do above all others is make profit for the shareholders so they can distribute it and support the lifestyle of the rich and famous. This is how it works, guys. So a company like Omega has got to constantly monitor sales. They are selling units, and they have to make sure that they are selling the maximum number of units for the absolute best margin that they can, and this means that they are constantly examining sales figures. And I believe that it's one of the reasons that companies like Omega and now Breitling are pushing out so many special editions, because they know that this tickles the fancy of the collector and that we'll pay stupid prices for watches that we might otherwise turn our noses up at. So long range, milking a corporation for quick money can have long-term deleterious effects on the brand cachet, okay? But the reality is that they are doing everything that they can do in order to maximize profit, get you to buy the most amount of units humanly possible, and that's really their entire prime directive. That's all they want to do. Rolex is different. Hans Wilsdorf died and left it into the hands of a foundation, and that foundation is going to perpetuate forever. So when you're a family-held company, eventually you're looking at cashing out. Like, hey, you know, my grandfather had this, my father had this, my kids are a bunch of no-good-nicks. I think I'd like to take my $500 million and go live on an island, and then I'll set up some trust funds for the grandkids. I mean, that's how this typically goes in a family-held company. And in a publicly held company, well, you know, long-term strategic growth is more prioritized and more maximized. But the company's got to make money because there's constant pressure from shareholders to do exactly that and distribute funds, right? Okay, so Hans Wilsdorf left a Rolex to a foundation. Rolex is not looking at this from how much will we make in the next year? What is our profit plan for the next 5 years? I think that Rolex is looking at this super long range. What is our 25-year plan? What is our 50-year plan? What is our 100-year plan? That foundation is going to outlive any individual. So how does that impact you as a collector of Rolex watches? Well, the first thing we have to examine is the shortage. Some of the shortage is just due to the fact that everybody wants a Rolex and they just can't crank out enough of them. Yeah, I know, they're making like 1 million watches a year, but that's not a lot if there's 10 million, if there's demand for 10 million units a year. So partly what we're looking at is a manufacturing shortage that I think that they will address, and they will be able to slowly increase that figure Why slowly when they could probably double or triple it in 5 years if they just sunk the right amount of money and technology into this? And believe me, they have that money and they have that technology. So why are they going to come at this slower? So glad that you asked. Well, the reason for that is they are attempting and actually dominating on this point. Rolex is making their watch more exclusive than a mass-produced brand of watch produced by robots. And yeah, at some point human hands touch them and do some assembly work, but I mean there's a lot of robotic work, I think. But the long and the short of it is, for a brand who is mass producing a product, they have put a cachet on it unlike any other company has ever done on earth. And that's because they're not a company, they're a foundation. These are long-term thinkers. So I think we have to look at what is the strategic plan, and I think the plan is exclusivity, high price. I think that Rolex is going for Patek level exclusivity with less horology. Backing me up on this are the short supply of the most popular watches and the recent 10% increase, which is like double the rate of inflation on the hot steel watches, such as the GMT, the Daytona, and the Submariners. Okay, so a few of the watches were hit in 2022 with 2-3% increase, and some of them almost with zero increase. However, the hot stuff, boom, 10%. And what that did was it popped up the Daytona, let's say, by $1,300. Well, if next year they pop it up by $1,400 or $1,500, and the year after that they pop it up by another $1,800, let me tell you what, you're going to turn around in 5 years and the Daytona, which is now retailing for approximately $14,700, you can turn around in 5 years from now, 2027, and that watch is going to retail at $25,000, $26,000, $27,000. That's what's going to happen. And they're also going to continue to control supply. So look, could the watch market crash? Yeah. Is Rolex going to crash? I mean, only if people are scrounging for food. But even then, it's going to come back. So I think that all collectibles suffer from cyclical retrenchments. So will the Rolex market is it bubbling and is it going to smash down and just be gone forever? No. I do think that as things trend upward, you get retrenchments, and then it creeps up again, and retrenchments. And I hope you're catching my drift. I think the trend on Rolex is being so carefully managed and so artificially manipulated by very smart people who don't have to make money. You know, that's the thing. They could look and say, guys, we're going to sacrifice profits for the next 10 years, and we're going to invest that into our production and brand cachet and exclusivity for the next 100 years. And honestly, I think they're making money, but I don't think they really care how much. And isn't that strange? Normally, you have to make money for the corporation that you're in charge of. Rolex is an entirely different kind of animal. Rolex is the platypus of the animal world. It defies explanation on any sense of the word, but yet it's an animal which has survived since like practically prehistoric times, probably going to outlive us all. Did I say platypus? That's what I meant. I might have said aardvark. I got confused in my own analogies and metaphors here, but I hope that you're following here. The issue is that Rolex doesn't have the same goal that the normal company has, making money. They can just put all their emphasis into protecting the brand. That's what they're doing. Inadvertently, what that does is two things for you. It upsets you because it makes it really hard and expensive to get one, number one. And number two, it protects you if you have the brand. Okay, how could you screw this up? Let me kind of just spend a couple of minutes on how you could snatch defeat from the jaws of victory on Rolex. The easiest way to goof up with Rolex is to sell it, okay, is to get bored. And guys, I'm a watch collector too, so for me, the hunt is probably almost as enjoyable as the owning. You know, the thinking about this watch, the sourcing this watch, the calculating out what I was going to pay for it, the unboxing of it, the honeymoon. I mean, on some level, is that more satisfying than just going upstairs and looking at my watch box and seeing this beauty? Yeah, I'm human, so the answer is yes. The hunt is almost better, you know, than on some levels than the acquisition. And if we get stuck on that, then all we ever want to do is hunt down the next one of these. But we gotta slow down, smell the roses. And you got to do that before they're all like dead. Okay, so the important part here is don't kill the joy. Feel the steal, wear your watches, control yourself when you get bored, because the easiest way to lose money on Rolex is to buy high and sell low. Now, I know you're seeing crazy high prices, so it gives you the idea. Let's say you have, I'm just going to use the Panda Daytona as an example because I'm familiar with the current secondary market on that. $14,700 MSRP plus tax. Secondary market, $40,000, let's call it. Could be 38 tomorrow, could be 45 next week, but we're gonna call it 40 for today. So you look at your Panda every day and you go, hey, I could convert you into $40,000 and go buy a bunch of something else. You know, if you paid 32 for it because you bought it when the secondary market was a little cooler, and you think you're going to go get 40 and pocket that $7,000 difference, you're in for a rude awakening, because you're going to have to sell it on eBay, where you will be subjected to fraud from buyers. You will have to pay fees and shipping, and by the time you're done, you'll be lucky to get that $32,000 back that you paid. If you want the transaction to be swift, painless, and safe, then you will sell to a well-known reseller. You know, there are a lot of them here, and you know their names. They all have channels, and these are good guys. And I have dealt with a variety of the watch resellers that you see here on YouTube. But what you have to remember is those guys have to pay you the wholesale value of the watch so they can turn around and sell it at retail. They have to pay you secondary market wholesale so they can charge secondary market retail. So getting bored and churning and burning, pumping and dumping through your watches, boredom is not your friend. It will cause you to do stupid things like selling Rolex. And as our old friend, dearly departed Blue Shirt Buddha once said, and I'll quote him on this forever, never sell Rolex, especially steel. Just don't sell Rolex. Getting bored. So I think that that's probably where I'm going to end this video. It's the worst thing that you can do is to decide that I'm bored with a GMT. I bought this root beer and now I don't want it, and I should have bought the Cermet, so I'm just going to do a bunch of trades until I make that happen. No, save up, okay? Either that or just give up on that Cermet and learn to love your root beer. Put it away. Okay, final word. If you're bored with your watches, put them away, lock them up in the bank for 6 months. Don't even look at them. When you pull them out, it will be like you acquired it all over again. Don't get bored. So your investment in Rolex, it's safe if you're smart about this and if you take a long-term view. Is it someplace that you should be investing money, you know, for the kids' college fund? Oh, hell no. Come on, guys. These are things that we wear and enjoy, and all we want to know is if I need to liquidate you when I get out of this game, you know, like when I grow up and become a big boy and realize all I need is one watch, you know, so I'm going to liquidate everything. All you want to know is, can you get your money out? If you get a few shekels extra, you know, good for you. But when I buy this stuff, I just want to know I'm not going to lose my shorts, you know, if I go into remission or finally get cured of this disease. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Talk to me in the comments. I will be there with you. This is Goldberg. Peace out.
Paint the sky.